Well, that was a real barn burner, huh, Chuck?
Yeah, it's just a bummer. And we can go into, an explanation for the loss. I think there are quite a few that make sense. But it's a bummer on two levels. Number one, it's a bummer because it's the Penguins, and you never want to see the team lose in that fashion to the Pittsburgh Penguins, especially after the October game seemed to be getting some juice back into the rivalry. So that's number one.
Yeah.
Number two, the reason why it's a bummer is that the Flyers were building some momentum. It really felt like that. Like last week, aside from the Tampa game, obviously that was rough, but they win 3 straight. That game on Saturday against the Devils, I thought was as good of a game as they played this year, at least in terms of underlying process. It was like, oh, they could be good playing this way. They could. And because of that, number one, it seemed like they were building momentum as a team. Number two, it seemed like they were starting to build maybe some momentum with the fans. And this was a little bit, and I'm not comparing this team to that team, or to these teams, I guess is the better way to put it. But this is a little reminiscent of those 2010 teams where it's like, oh, the eyes of the city are upon us. Now let's fall flat on our face. And it was a little reminiscent of that because this felt like an opportunity. It's like, oh man, Flyers got something going here. We're real mad at the Eagles. Maybe we should start paying attention to the Flyers. They're playing the Penguins. We can boost Sidney Crosby. And then they lose 5-1. Now, I'm not saying this team is the 2010 teams. I think they're different enough that I'm not going to paint them with that brush. But it just felt a little bit like that, and that's why this game was especially a bummer.
Yeah, that's exactly. You know what, Charlie? You summed it up perfectly with your tweet about the Tyson Forester injury, where it was like, yeah, it just kind of sucked all the life out of everyone, and you summed it up perfectly there. That's what it feels like, because part of me wants to just give them a pass. They just had a good road trip. It's one bad game. They've been playing well. The goalie didn't have it. Nobody had it tonight. And yeah, it happens. It's an 82-game season. And the other part of me is like, damn it. You do this to me all the time, though. You've been doing this to me for 15 effing years. But it is what it is. Just kind of one of those games. Brenna told us that you said Tocchet doesn't have an update on Tyson Forster and the severity of it. Based on his reaction, and maybe he's just pissed because he had a chance to score and something got tweaked and he'll be okay even if he misses a week or whatever. But based on his reaction, it didn't look good, Charlie.
No, it did not look good.
Yeah. I know you don't know how they're going to handle this, and maybe they don't because they don't know the severity. Perhaps that's true. If he's out long-term-ish, is this call up bump territory or give Gurbenkin a run in the top 9 territory?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. And I have to think those are probably your two top options. I believe Danny Briere went on went on Snow the goalie today and basically said that well, Gurbenkin is kind of our 10th forward, and if somebody gets hurt, he's probably the guy who gets bumped up to the top 9. So lo and behold, here's an opportunity to do it. That would be the chalk move. It's like, all right, give Gurbenkin a look in the top 9. Probably call Carl Grundstrom back up. He's got 15 points in 19 games. Maybe you can give the fourth line a little bit more of a boost, give them a little bit more of that classic fourth line physical identity that Gurbenkin can do, but you probably want him playing a little bit more offense, so you don't want to entirely focus on physicality. You give Gurbenkin a look in the top 9, add Grundstrom in and see if that just, kind of kills two birds with one stone. You improve the fourth line and you get Gurbenkin the minutes that we all think he should be getting. That would be the chalk move. The exciting move would be to call Alex Bump up because while he didn't start out the season in the AHL all that great, he's been playing much better recently. And even though it's funny, you look at his numbers, he doesn't have a ton of goals in the AHL. I believe he only has 4, and he is more of a goal scorer by trade than a playmaker. But from a pure skill set standpoint, he is kind of the most logical stylistic replacement for Tyson Forester. He is a sniper. He has a plus shot. You can put him in some of the same spots, especially on the power play as you put Forester. So if we're looking at Forester missing a month plus, maybe they think about bringing Bump up because you're like, well, we got to figure out some way to replace this skill set in the lineup. And even if it takes Bump a week or two to really start to figure this out and get comfortable, it might be worth it because Forster's going to miss a lot of time. I think that would sort of be my guess, is that if it's short term, I think they might go the Gurbenkin Grundstrom route. If it's long term, maybe you have a serious discussion internally of So is Alex Bump ready? We thought he was close to ready in camp. Maybe we give him a look. That's my guess, but that's a guess more than anything else. I really don't know for sure.
Yeah, after a really slow start, 3 points in his first 8, he now has, I think, 13 points in his last 12 games. So he has turned it on since Halloween, Charlie. And honestly, when we talk about like Grunstrom or even a Tony Dick or something, my question is why not both? Because the fourth line needs something
Yeah.
regardless if Grabenkin gets bumped up or not. Bump, no pun intended there, but like regardless of what they do with the fourth line and Grabenkin, they need something else. Now tonight's not the night to complain about the fourth line because like everyone sucked equally. I thought Zegras was okay, I guess, but like no one was good. But just looking at this fourth line, man, Hathaway is a shell of himself. Abels is what we kind of thought he was. They're getting nothing out of the bottom of this lineup right now, and without Tyson Forster, it's like, all right, now it's not even 3 full lines anymore.
Yeah, it's a fair point. And they do have to address the fourth line. You're absolutely right. Now, again, this injury, if it proves to be a long-term injury, or even a middle-term injury, I don't think anybody's expecting Tyson Forester to pop up and play on Wednesday. I think people are assuming he's at least going to miss a little bit of time.
That would be surprising.
But even if it's a midterm injury, they're going to have to do some juggling. They're going to have to change up the fourth line, and maybe they stumble upon something. But I agree with you. Something needs to be done with this fourth line, especially if you're going to continue to do what Tocchet has been doing, especially over the last couple of weeks, which is trying to get the fourth line more minutes. Like, I think that probably was his first attempt at a solution where he's like, well, maybe part of the problem is I'm not playing them enough. I'm not giving them enough time to play themselves into the game. And maybe if I give them some more minutes, maybe they'll play better. And it turns out that he's given them more minutes and they're playing just as ineffectively, just in more minutes.
I find that, listen, it's a fine conclusion to come to, and then if it's wrong, it's wrong. Like, all right, let's try something else now. It's just funny to me that, like, well, the really good guy, no, we're not going to give him more minutes. But these guys who are just okay, maybe, they need to play more. That's the solution. I just find that a little funny. But
and they were on a road trip where they were playing like every single day. So
they played 4 and 6,
yeah,
like all that.
Want to spread out the ice time a bit to make sure nobody gets too exhausted.
I get it. It's just kind of funny on the surface.
Okay. It's funny to hear about for sure. Now, Charlie, the penalty kill was one of the biggest factors in the Flyers getting smoked tonight. Huge liability. Does the coaching staff seem frustrated by the way it's just gotten worse and worse since October?
Well, I'm not sure if I buy that it's gotten worse and worse. They had some really big kills on this road trip.
It's fair.
You know, they really have. I think they came into this game. I think they were like what, 4th or 5th in the league. So I'm not ready to say it's gotten significantly worse. They've had some big kills. Now, one thing that Rick Tocchet did say after this game, which I thought was interesting, was that he felt like over the last 5 games that even if they were getting results, that even if they were getting some big kills, they were having a good good run of like stopping opposing power plays. He felt like the structure had been a little bit off over the last 5 games is what he said. He felt like maybe they've been getting a little lucky. They've been catching some breaks. Well, tonight the chickens came home to roost, and the lack of attention to detail that had slipped into their penalty killing over the previous 5 games finally came back to bite them. The penalty kill, however, this year has been very good. I mean, they were a top 5 penalty kill, I believe, going into this game. So it's hard to kill them too much. But yeah, they got scorched tonight. Like, they got scorched by Sidney Crosby and Malkin and the whole gang. And it can be easy to write it off as a one-off if this is the only time. And granted, like, Buffalo isn't exactly filled with firepower, so you would think you might be able to come out on Wednesday and do a good job on the penalty kill against them. But if you go out there and you give up 2 more on Wednesday, then it's an issue. Then you'd be like, all right, well, penalty kill got off to a good start, but it might be faltering. Let's fix this. For now, I'm willing to say that maybe it was a 1-game aberration, but it was an aberration that was one of the biggest reasons why they lost the game. So it's worth talking about.
Yeah, especially with Forrester getting hurt, this could be a bigger factor.
Sure.
I will say that while the overall number is good, they were elite the first few weeks of the season. Since November 1st, they were 16th coming into tonight. I have to believe a 25% night knocks that down a little bit. It's been trending not great. They did come up with some big kills, like especially like they give up a power play goal to the Devils, but late in that game, they have a couple of kills that win them the game,
Yeah.
So it's you gave up a goal, but also when it really mattered, you shut it down. And tonight it was just, they got the doors blown off. Part of that's the goaltending. Part of that is, like you said, the structure falling off. We just have to see where this one goes, Charlie. I know I'm going to have had a bigger problem with this than you, but like it's 5-1 and Owen Tippett gets cross-checked in the face. Who cares? Jump him. Jump the guy. Like, no, I'm totally serious. If Boko Amama or whatever his name is talking a bunch of crap and he's the guy who concussed Garnett Hathaway and might be the reason he's not any good anymore, sucker punch him. It's 5-1. Who cares? This sort of stuff, I realize I'm just fired up because that's the way I think. But I do think it matters culture-wise that someone jumps in there. Did any of that come up post-game at all?
No, but I think one of the consensuses from both Rick Tocchet and the players was that the Flyers didn't have a ton of energy in this game, and Tocchet was honest about it. He was like, "Look, we just finished a 4-6. It's a 5-8 coming back home," and he could tell. He said he could tell from the morning skate that guys were lacking energy. But he's like, "Look, that's no excuse. You need to learn how to play tired." And
that's
then
the NHL.
Yeah, and then Tocchet also said, "Look, like." Maybe some guys were reading their press clippings a little bit too much and, they just seemed a little comfortable tonight. And that was echoed, not that about the press clippings, but it was echoed throughout, the guys we talked to. Noah Cates basically said, he just didn't think, I forget exactly how he put it. He said he called it a sleepy game, that it was a sleepy game, said they lacked focus. Travis Konechny acknowledged that, it was a draining trip. And sometimes that first game back home, you just don't have it. And they just didn't have it. Now, again, these are not excuses. This is explanations, and they need to be better. They need to have more energy. They needed to, get up for this game in a way that they didn't. But I do think that the lack of fight, the lack of toughness shown in the third period was probably a byproduct of the fact that this is just a tired team. Now, Rick Tocchet, as he said, no excuse, but he is giving them the day off tomorrow because he sees a tired team.
It's the Pittsburgh game. Come on. It's the Pittsburgh game, guys. And how much longer do we have to deal with Sidney Crosby smoking the Flyers like this? Is the guy a vampire? Like, what is this?
Yeah, I mean, look, he's just going to keep doing this until the day he retires. The thing with Crosby, and I pointed this out on Twitter over the last couple, I think I pointed out in October, I pointed out again, like, the thing with Crosby is that, number one, he clearly ups his game to play the Flyers. He clearly loves to play the Flyers and just, gets up for these games. Number two, he also gets real friggin' lucky against the Flyers. Like, it's a combination of, he's real good and he's real lucky. That's the second goal. Yeah, that's all skill. That's a ridiculous shot. He somehow finds a way to get that shot through before he runs into his own guy. There was a little bit of space. That is the fact that he is one of the 10 best players of all time. The first goal is Dan Vladar, the goalie who's been stopping everything.
Thinks he has it.
Gives up his one bad rebound of the season and it ends up right on the stick of Sidney Crosby. This is how a guy puts up insane numbers against one team. He's both really good and really lucky.
I honestly, as much as I still love it, I blame Darian Hatcher. I think it all started with Darian Hatcher, including in that game when Crosby scored the winner, and it really just hasn't stopped. So I think we can all gather around and blame Darian Hatcher, which of course is like blaming Bobby Clark, which I love to do as well. So it's all their fault.
Oh boy.